Okay, I really did not want to do this video, but it's time. I've got a crazy amount of debt and I'm tired of ignoring it. So let's talk about it. If you are here for the very first time, my name is Jasmine, aka Budget Treasures, and here on my channel I talk about all things finance with the emphasis on budgeting, saving money, and paying off debt. I really encourage that you subscribe to the channel. If you're a returning bestie, hey girl, hey. If you are returning and you've been here for a while, then you know that I did a phase 1 debt-free journey about a couple of years ago. And you walked with me on the journey to pay off about $33,000 worth of consumer debt, which included credit cards and personal loans. And I think it was a little bit of tax debt in there. And we paid that off successfully. If you haven't caught phase 1 of my debt-free journey, then I really encourage that you check that video out, because the way that I pay off my debt is a little bit different. I break them up in phases based upon the type of debt it is that I'm paying off. So now we are in phase 2. And while I knew phase 2 was coming, the reason why I've kind of put it off and not really wanted to start it, one, because I am unemployed right now. So it's, I got to pay my bills, right? But then two, because the type of debt that we're going to discuss that I need to pay off is, I think all debt is stressful, but this one is like, this type of debt is like really, really stressful to me, in my opinion. And some things have kind of changed when it comes to phase 2. So phase 2 was just supposed to be my IRS debt, my tax debt. And with tax debt you have your state and your federal, and I was just gonna pay, that's all I had for phase 2. But now that things have changed in my life and there have been some additions to my debt, I have IRS debt, and now I have credit card debt again. And I'm not really upset about the credit card debt, because I made the conscious decision to use debt right now as I am transitioning and finding new employment and additional streams of revenue and really working on my income. I made the decision to use the debt, and I know that I will be paying off that debt soon. But that is now going to be added to phase 2. So I do have credit card debt again. I don't have any personal loans or anything like that. So really, I am working at this thing day by day. Things are changing. Things are getting worse, to be honest with you. And you know what I'm saying? That's kind of like where we are. So this video is going to be broken up into 2 parts. The first part, which is this particular video, I am going to be talking about the debt, how I got into the debt, what I'm not going to do again. And we're just going to be talking generally about how much it is that I owe. And we're just, talking, having that real heart-to-heart conversation like we did in phase 1. And then the second part, I'm actually going to do a tabletop version of me starting the actual, well, I've already started the journey. However, I want to break out my debt-free journey workbook and kind of just punch out all the numbers and get my debt-free jars started and etc. Okay, so that is the technical piece of this whole 2-part series. Okay, so now let's talk about how I got here. Basically, you have to pay taxes every year, and I didn't pay my taxes every year, so it just kind of added up over time a little bit as each year went on, and I made more money within the past couple of years than I have ever made before. And so once I got to the end of the year and I don't have much to really, or I didn't have much to really offset what I made or claim, or, you know, all that tax jargon stuff, this is just what I owed. And, you know, of course, you just like student loans, you're like, oh, okay, well, you know, put me on a payment plan, you know, and we're gonna work this out, right? Because I didn't have the total amount that I needed to pay. So that's basically how I got here. I really need to work with someone who really knows the tax game and can really help me in this area moving forward, because I do plan on continuing to make more money than I've ever made before in my life. Now, thank God, this year, I don't know how much money I'm going to be making. So far, it's not much, you know. So far, it is not much. But hopefully that will be able to help me to kind of bring down the balance, being that I ain't really, we're already in the 7th month or in the 8th month, and I don't have a job. So that's that. So now let's talk about my mindset. And it's more so about the credit card debt. And I know that I've talked about this in prior videos, but I really don't feel ashamed, and I don't feel sad that I now have credit card debt again, because I've had to leverage it in order for me to stretch the time out that I need as I am in an unemployed state. I know that there's been a lot of people who, you know, you guys are like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And trust me, I don't and didn't want to do it. But as I'm crunching the numbers and I'm looking at what I have in liquid, and then I'm looking at what I have in my 401k, and I'm looking at the different investments, and I'm like, okay, what can I do to where it will not take much of an impact to my credit, or, you know, having to pull money out of my home, right? Because I think someone suggested that I do like a HELOC or something like that. I've never done anything like that before, but I mean, I wouldn't want to do that just to pay, you know, I don't know. You know, I know that when it comes to HELOCs and things like that, that they say that should only really be done if you're making home improvements or you're going to invest into another piece of property. So I'm not fully well versed on that, but I know that I don't want to really pull equity out of my home to pay bills. But then if it ever gets to that point, maybe I might have to. I don't know. But what I do know is, I thought to myself, the easiest low impact thing that I can do right now is leverage my credit. And I've worked so hard. When I first started my debt-free journey, my score was it was in the 500s, and I had little to no borrowing power at all. But all of the work that I did to pay off all of the debt and work on improving my credit, my score went up and my borrowing power went up as well. So I have a lot of credit right now that I wasn't using. I was strategically using it so that I can continue to borrow large amounts of money, or obtain large amounts of credit. So now that I have that credit, I thought to myself, well, how about I use the credit to pay some of my bills, and then I use the liquid cash to pay my mortgage, and that'll allow me a little bit more time, and then I can just pay the credit card off once I am employed again. It should take me no time to really pay the credit cards back. That's not an issue that I have anymore when it comes to paying bills. Like, I pay credit card bills. I pay hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of credit card bills. I've built up an endurance to be able to do that. So I can spend $2,000 on a credit card and I have no problem with paying that $2,000 back. I think sometimes when people really struggle with using credit cards is because you'll use the $1,000, but then it's very difficult for you to pay the $1,000 that you use. Number one, because you probably didn't strategically use the card. So just to take $1,000 that you already didn't plan on spending to pay the credit card, you're not really going to pay that credit card. You're going to be like, oh my goodness, I don't want to take $1,000 and pay this credit card. And two, because you're just not used to paying that amount of money for bills. I'm used to, at this point in life, and what I've achieved over these last few years, I'm used to paying large amounts of money in bills. And it's easy for me now. I could take $2,000-$3,000 and pay a bill and be okay with it. Depending on the bill, you know, like I'm not okay with the debt, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. That's the reason why, because I know my discipline and I know where I am now in my financial mindset, that it's easy for me to use it and then pay it when I am able to go ahead and pay it all off. So really quickly, let's talk about my payoff plan. Well, actually, I don't even think I talked to you guys about the full amount. I'm going to give you a general number, and in the next video, in part 2 of this series, I'm going to give you the exact numbers. But for my IRS debt, generally, that total amount is about for both, it's around about 70,000. And then for the credit card debt, we're at about 4,000. Now that is general. When we do part 2, I'll be able to list out exactly what it is. Now currently for my credit cards, I am only paying the minimum payment, and then for my IRS, I'm paying the minimum payment as well, if you will, but I have a set amount that on the payment plan that I'm paying every month, and I'm only able to pay the minimum at this moment. Once I secure a job or Budget Treasures blows up, whichever one, then I will definitely be able to make more than just the minimum payment. And I am going to use the snowball method to pay these off. The snowball method works for me. I love that method, and it's, you know, helps me to really be excited about the journey and about what it is that I'm doing. So I will be doing that. Although, stay tuned tomorrow, because there is a new way that I did learn how to pay off debt, and I think I'm going to do it this way so that I can really see how it works. But make sure you guys come back for part 2, and I'm going to explain to you in detail exactly what I'm going to do, and you can try as well. But that is pretty much everything. We're going to talk about my goals in part 2, really, which is just to pay it off, to be honest with you. As it relates to my credit, everything is pretty okay there. Everything's still good there, rather. But yes, so if you are watching this and you have debt as well, I don't care if it's 4-figure debt, 5-figure debt, 6-figure debt, I want you to know that you are not alone. And we are going to walk this road together. We are going to walk the road to debt freedom together. Do not feel guilty. Try your best not to feel overwhelmed, but don't allow anyone to make you feel bad for having debt. Debt is bad. Yes, it is. It's not something that I don't think any of us want to be in. However, sometimes life happens. Life be lifing, especially right now. So do not beat yourself up. Do not harp on what has already happened. let's get excited about the new journey, and that is to be debt free. If you have debt, I want you to put down in the comments one of two things. If you have debt, and put the amount, okay? Tell the truth and shame the devil, because I want people to know that they're not alone, and we are all in this together, and we are not on an island by ourselves. But also, if you have paid off debt, I want you to put that in the comments too, because we want to rejoice with you, and we want to know that we are in good company, and we can be encouraged by those who paid off debt. The first time I've ever paid off a large amount of debt, I paid off $30,000 worth of consumer and credit card debt. So guess what that lets me know? If I did it before, I could do it again. So thank you guys so much for being here. I love and appreciate you all. If you are not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button and come with us on the journey, okay? But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Go be great, besties. Peace out.
You special and she reckless. MB, you're my bestest friend. Yeah, she my bestie. My love for you is endless. Nobody else can end it. And when I get the money back, then baby girl, you can spend it. And everything is alright. I like how you doing.